All right, ready to dive in.
Let's do it.
We're going deep with Jay Shetty's Think Like a Monk today.
Yeah, pulling out some choice excerpts.
And, this isn't some kind of mountaintop retreat thing.
Right, not just chanting in robes.
It's about using this, ancient wisdom to deal with
Totally.
the everyday crazy that is
Life.
exactly life in the modern world.
It's like, how can we be less stressed and way more fulfilled,
I'll find that sense of purpose.
And Shetty kind of lays it out in 3 parts.
He does. It's really interesting how he structures the book.
Yeah.
It's almost like a step-by-step,
Wow.
to reach that inner peace. First, you've got letting go.
Okay.
Then there's growing.
Like
Then finally giving.
the process.
It is. It's a journey.
That's a pretty solid framework.
I think so. Very practical.
Yeah, I mean, we've all got stuff to let go of, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Areas we want to, grow in.
For sure.
And ways we can give back. Big time.
But, how do we actually, do that? How do we put it into practice?
Yeah, he gets into that. One of the first things he talks about
Okay.
is figuring out your true values.
Okay, so knowing yourself, basically.
Yeah, and he calls this exercise spot the difference.
Catchy.
It is. It's about, identifying the dust.
Dust.
Yeah, he uses that term. All those outside influences
Oh.
that can cloud your judgment, make it hard to see what truly matters.
So it's all the noise.
The noise, the expectations, all of it.
That we need to filter out.
Exactly, so you can get to the core of who you are.
Okay, I like that. But how do we actually sift through all that dust?
Right. How do we find the real us under all that?
Yeah.
Well, Shetty tells this story from his time at an ashram.
Oh, cool.
I think it really brings this idea to life.
Okay.
So he was trying to help this young boy, right?
Mm.
And the boy was stressed out. But instead of, complaining or whatever,
Yeah.
the boy just pointed to his breath.
He had learned to control his breathing.
Interesting.
And by doing that, he could manage his emotions, the stress.
So, going to the source,
Yes.
that's the takeaway.
Instead of getting lost in the symptoms.
Exactly. Focus on the root cause.
That's powerful.
It is, especially in our world today.
Yeah, where it's all about quick fixes.
Instant gratification, right?
Exactly, like slapping a Band-Aid on a...
Right, a Band-Aid on a broken leg.
Yeah. It doesn't actually solve the problem.
And you need to address the fracture, not just cover it up.
Exactly. And speaking of things we need to address,
Oh, yeah.
Shetty doesn't shy away from, negativity.
No, he tackles it head on.
But he goes deeper than just saying, think positive.
Oh, for sure.
He actually, breaks down the types of negative people.
He does. He identifies these patterns.
You might run into...
You'll recognize these folks, guarantee it.
He's got the complainer, the ghost, the gossiper,
Oh, yeah, all the classics.
even the drama queen.
Gotta love the drama queen, right?
So he's giving us, a field guide.
Totally, to navigate the negativity.
And why is that so important, do you think?
Because, let's be honest, we've all encountered these types.
Oh, for sure.
Recognizing them is crucial for, navigating relationships.
Okay, so it's about self-preservation, too.
In a way, yeah, protecting your energy.
So what does Shetty suggest we actually do?
Right, when you're faced with these.
Yeah, when you can't avoid them.
When you're stuck with the negativity ninjas.
Do we just, run for the hills?
He actually gives a few strategies.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, try to just observe.
Observe.
Yeah, step back from the situation.
Yep.
See it objectively. Don't get caught up.
Don't engage.
Exactly. Then think about the root.
The root.
The root of their negativity.
Interesting.
What's driving their behavior? Why are they like this?
Okay, so understanding, not just judging.
Yeah, empathy can be powerful.
And then he's got this thing called the 25-75 principle.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
That sounds more like, I don't know.
A math equation.
Yeah, than our relationship strategy.
It's actually pretty simple.
Okay, break it down for me.
Think of it this way.
Right.
You don't have to cut negative people out completely.
Okay, because sometimes you can't.
Right, exactly.
Mm.
But for every negative person,
Mm-hmm.
aim to have 3 positive people around you.
So it's like a ratio.
Yeah, like a positivity counterbalance.
I like that.
It's realistic, right?
Yeah, you can't always avoid those negative folks.
But you can be strategic.
Surround yourself with good vibes
Exactly. Create that support system that lifts you up.
instead of dragging you down.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, Shetty also gets into fear.
Oh, yeah, everyone's favorite topic.
But he doesn't see it as this, enemy to be conquered.
Right.
He frames it as a warning signal.
Interesting.
Like something's prompting you to pay attention.
Oh, okay.
He talks about these 4 common reactions.
to fear.
Yeah, panic, paralysis, avoidance, and hiding.
I've definitely done all of those.
Probably all of us have at some point.
So if fear is not always bad, how should we deal with it?
Well, Shetty says, first, figure out your reaction.
My go-to move.
Yeah, like what do you do when you're scared?
Okay.
And then use that to get some perspective.
Perspective.
Yeah, he suggests this thing called scoring your fear.
Scoring my fear.
It's actually less scary than it sounds.
I hope so.
Imagine a scale, 0 to 10. 10 is like the worst thing ever.
Like a zombie apocalypse?
Exactly. A full-blown zombie apocalypse, that's a 10.
Oh, for sure.
So when you feel that fear creeping in, try to put it on that scale.
Okay.
A lot of times you'll realize,
It's not that bad.
right, not a 10, maybe like a 4.
More manageable.
Exactly. It helps you stay calm.
So instead of freaking out,
You can be like, okay, this is a 4. I can handle this.
I like that, a little fear thermometer.
And, sometimes facing our fears head on
Oh, yeah.
can lead to amazing things.
Like what?
Shetty uses the example of Alex Honnold.
The mountain climber.
Yes. The guy who free soloed El Capitan.
Oh, from that documentary, Free Solo.
Yes. Talk about facing your fears. That climb was insane.
Intense.
But Honnold, he doesn't deny his fear.
Right.
He uses it,
That's fuel.
Yeah, he prepares meticulously,
Mm-hmm.
assesses the risks, and then takes that leap.
So it's not about being fearless.
No, it's about understanding your fear.
And then choosing what to do with it.
Exactly. Let it control you or use it as motivation.
Powerful stuff. Now, there's this concept I found really interesting.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
The idea of finding your purpose.
Your dharma.
Yeah, your dharma.
That's a big one, right at the core of the book.
It is, and it's something I think a lot of people struggle with.
For sure. We all want to know our purpose.
So how does Shetty approach this?
He starts with this ancient Vedic philosophy.
Okay.
The idea that everyone has a specific role to play.
Like we're all part of something bigger.
Exactly. We each have a unique contribution to make.
I like that.
But Shetty doesn't get all, esoteric about it.
Okay, good.
He brings it down to earth, connects it to our modern world.
So how does he do that?
He explains these 4 varnas.
Varnas.
Yeah, they're like these archetypes from Vedic philosophy.
Interesting.
Creators, artisans, guides, and leaders.
So we all fit into one of these categories.
Not exactly. It's not about labeling yourself.
Oh.
It's more about using them as lenses.
Lenses.
Yeah, to understand your strengths, what brings you joy.
Okay, so it's more fluid than that.
Yes, it's about exploring your natural tendencies.
And how do we figure out which Varna resonates with us?
Well, Shetty actually has a quiz in the book.
Oh, fun.
It helps you explore those tendencies.
I love a good quiz.
But beyond that, he says, think about what you enjoy doing.
What lights me up?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what brings joy to others as a result of your work.
So it's not just about my own happiness.
Right. It's about the positive impact you have on the world.
That makes sense. It's about finding that sweet spot
Where your passions and talents intersect.
with a desire to make a difference.
Exactly. Shetty even shares his own journey,
Oh, cool.
discovering his dharma.
Tell me about that.
It started with the tasks he was given at the ashram,
Okay.
just embracing whatever came his way.
Mm.
And then he founded this club at his university.
A club? What kind of club?
He called it Think Out Loud.
Think out loud.
Yeah, he had this burning desire to share.
To share what he was learning.
Yeah, all this wisdom from the monks.
So he created this space for discussion.
Exactly. Philosophical, spiritual, scientific ideas, all of it.
Wow, that's awesome.
It became super popular.
I bet.
It really helped him connect,
Connect. What?
his monk-like thinking with the modern world.
That's so inspiring.
It is. He bridged that gap
Took ancient wisdom and made it relevant.
to a whole new generation.
I love that.
Right.
Now, speaking of things that can transform our lives,
What's that?
Shetty talks about gratitude.
Ah, yes, gratitude.
He even calls it the most powerful drug in the world.
Bold statement.
It is, but there's actually science behind it.
There is. Studies show gratitude impacts.
What kinds of things?
Stress, sleep, overall well-being, all of it.
So it's not just about feeling good.
It's actually good for you, physically and mentally.
I like the sound of that.
And Shetty uses these powerful stories.
Oh, I love a good story.
He contrasts wealth and poverty.
To show how gratitude can change your perspective.
Exactly. Like he talks about visiting this fancy hotel.
Okay.
People were complaining the food, the service, everything.
Ah, typical.
And then he thinks back to his time in India,
Okay.
seeing kids searching for scraps in garbage bins.
Wow. That puts things in perspective.
It does, right?
It's so easy to get caught up in our own little bubble.
And forget how much we have to be grateful for.
Absolutely. Now, another big part of a fulfilling life,
Hmm.
building trusting relationships.
Relationships, the foundation of everything.
And Shetty breaks trust down into these 4 C's:
4 C's. Okay, I'm intrigued.
character, competence, consistency,
I'm
I
following.
think compassion.
So it's a framework for trust.
Yeah, for understanding it.
Makes sense.
He says we need to think about
What?
what levels of trust are right for different relationships.
Oh, that's smart.
Because, the trust you have with a close friend.
Right. Totally different than with a coworker.
Exactly. It's about recognizing those layers
And being mindful of who we let in.
to that inner circle.
Yeah, where you're most vulnerable.
He also has this cool analogy.
I love his analogies.
He talks about the world as a hotel.
A hotel.
Yeah, and we're all just temporarily staying there.
That's a beautiful way to think about it.
It is, right?
It reminds us that we're all connected.
Even if it's just for a little while.
It encourages that openness, that compassion.
Seeing everyone on their own journey.
Exactly. Now, shifting gears a bit,
Okay, where are we going now?
Shetty dives into this concept of seva.
Seva.
Yeah, it means selfless service.
Oh, interesting.
It's a big part of a monk's life.
Makes sense. Giving back.
But Shetty explains that seva goes beyond,
Traditional volunteer.
yeah, like it's not just about donating or working at a soup kitchen.
Okay.
It's about weaving service into every part of your life.
So it's more of a way of being.
Exactly. It's about being mindful of the needs of others.
And contributing to the well-being of your community.
Big or small, it all matters.
So it could be helping a neighbor,
Yeah.
or listening to a friend who's struggling,
Being there for them.
or donating to a cause you care about.
Exactly. It's about shifting your focus
From yourself to something bigger.
to a more expansive view of the world.
And our connection to it.
Yes. And Shetty tells these incredible stories
Oh, I love his stories.
about people who embody this idea of seva.
Like who?
Like Sintutai Sapkal, the mother of orphans.
Oh, wow. I've heard of her.
She's amazing. Dedicated her life to caring for abandoned children.
That's truly inspiring.
It is, and her story shows the ripple effect of service.
How one person can make a huge difference.
Exactly, and Shetty gives practical advice too.
On how to incorporate Seva into our lives.
Yeah, like setting aside time for volunteering,
Okay.
being mindful of what you buy.
Oh, like ethical consumption.
Yeah, and using your skills to help others.
So putting your talents to good use.
Aligning your actions with your values.
I love that. It's about making a difference in whatever way you can.
Big or small,
Mm.
it all contributes to a better world.
Yeah, it's about making those little ripples, right?
Exactly. Every action counts.
And, going back to finding your purpose, that Dharma thing, Shetty actually gives some pretty concrete advice.
Oh yeah, he gets practical.
He does. I appreciate that.
Actionable steps, not just airy-fairy concepts.
Because it's easy to get lost in the big picture,
Right, it can feel overwhelming.
So how do we, pinpoint it? What's our Dharma?
He says, first, figure out what you truly enjoy.
Okay, what lights me up?
Yeah, what gets you excited to get out of bed, and what
What's-
brings joy to others because of what you do.
So it's not just self-serving.
No, it's about the impact you have.
Like with Shetty's Think Out Loud Club?
Exactly. He combined his passion with helping others.
Merge those two things.
It's a great example of that sweet spot.
Where your talents and passions.
Intersect with making a difference.
I love that. But how do we know if we're on the right path,
He has this great exercise. It's like a visual map.
Oh.
You divide a chart into 4 sections.
Okay, 4 quadrants.
Yeah, first, what you're good at but don't enjoy.
Okay.
Then what you're good at and do enjoy.
Right.
Then what you're not good at and don't enjoy.
Makes sense.
And finally, what you're not good at, but you do enjoy.
Got it. So we want to be in that quadrant.
Where you excel and it brings you joy.
Where it all comes together.
Exactly. But a lot of people are stuck,
Yeah, in a different quadrant.
Maybe you're good at your job, but it doesn't fulfill you.
Been there.
Shetty gets that. He offers ways to move towards your dharma.
Even if you're not in your dream job right now.
Right. Small steps, baby steps,
It's about finding those bits of joy in your current situation.
and building from there.
So you don't have to quit your job and join a monastery tomorrow.
Not unless you want to.
There are ways to bridge the gap,
He's all about those practical steps.
which I appreciate. Now, he also ties those Vedic principles to modern careers, which I thought was interesting.
He does. It's fascinating how he connects those dots.
Like using the 4 Varnas we talked about.
The creators, artisans, guides, and leaders.
And showing how they show up in different jobs today.
Exactly. Like a creator could be an artist, an entrepreneur.
An innovator.
Yeah, while an artisan could be a craftsman, a builder.
Someone who works with their hands.
He breaks down each Varna, their characteristics, skills.
So it helps you see your own tendencies, your strengths.
And how they might translate into a fulfilling career.
Okay, that's helpful, concrete stuff.
He gives you those tools to figure it out.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's not just theory, it's application.
He wants you to actually use this stuff.
And one thing that stood out to me, he talks about routine.
Routine, the foundation of a monk's life.
Right, but I'm not sure I'm ready for a monk's schedule.
He's not saying you have to live in a monastery.
Okay, good.
But he talks about structuring your day with intention.
Starting with an early wake-up call.
Yeah, before sunrise.
Oh, boy, that's a little early for me.
It's about those quiet hours, the stillness before the world wakes up.
While I admire that, I'm more of a hit the snooze button kind of person.
He gets that. He's realistic. But those early hours,
Okay.
they can be so powerful, setting the tone for the day.
So it's about creating space for yourself.
For reflection, meditation, just being...
Intentional self-care.
Exactly, reclaiming those hours.
I can definitely use more of that.
He also talks about found time.
Brown time.
Those little pockets of time we waste, you know?
Oh, like waiting in line or commuting.
Scrolling through your phone, mindlessly.
Guilty as charged.
He says, use those moments for mindfulness. Gratitude reflections or just observing your surroundings.
So, turning downtime into growth time.
Flipping the script.
I like that. And he stresses routine beyond just waking up early.
Oh yeah, it's about structure.
That supports your well-being.
Helps you stay grounded.
Even when life gets crazy.
Exactly. And he tells this funny story about showering at the ashram.
A shower story. I'm intrigued.
So, picture this. He's at this ashram in India.
Okay.
The showers are a 20-minute walk, muddy path through bushes.
Oh, no.
It's raining. He's in flip-flops, slipping and sliding.
That sounds miserable.
It was. And he's thinking, why am I doing this?
We've all been there.
Right. I could be in London, warm apartment, good job.
Questioning your life choices.
But he pushes through and realizes...
What?
It was awful, yes, but it was a lesson.
In what?
Resilience, sticking to your commitments even when it's tough.
Even when you're covered in mud.
Yeah. It's about showing up even when it's hard.
I like that. Now, he also describes this monkey mind thing.
Oh, the monkey mind. We all know that one.
That constant chatter in your head.
Worries, anxieties, to-do lists, never ending.
Exhausted.
He uses this analogy of a chariot.
A chariot.
The chariot is your body.
Okay.
The horses are your senses.
Interesting.
The reins are your mind.
Okay.
And the charioteer is your intellect, your soul.
So we need to learn to control those horses, right?
Yes. Our senses are constantly pulling us in different directions.
And the reins, our mind, can get tangled.
It's about taking control, guiding those thoughts.
Being the charioteer of our own mind.
Exactly. And that's where mindfulness comes in.
Meditation, those kinds of things.
Training your mind to be calm, focused.
Taming the monkey mind.
So you can find peace, clarity.
I like that. And he talks about the ego, too.
Ah, the ego, everyone's favorite frenemy.
Right. It can be such a tricky thing.
He doesn't say we need to eradicate it completely.
Okay.
He says it's a part of us, but it needs to be managed.
Like a wild animal.
The ego craves recognition, validation, superiority.
And that can lead to some not-so-great behavior.
Big time. For ourselves and others.
So it's about awareness.
Being aware of how your ego operates.
Keeping it in check.
He uses this funny example from Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, I love Jimmy Kimmel.
People at Coachella were asked about fake bands.
Fake band.
Bands that didn't exist.
Okay.
And these people, they made up whole opinions.
No way. Just to sound cool.
To impress, to feel like they were in the know.
That's classic ego right there.
It is, creating false narratives to feel validated.
It's a good reminder to check ourselves, you know?
Be honest about our motivations.
So how do we manage this ego thing?
Shetty has a lot of tips, he says, detached from being right.
Oh, that's hard.
It is, but it's freeing.
Be open to other perspectives.
He even suggests intentionally losing arguments.
Losing arguments with your loved ones.
It's an exercise in humility.
Choosing peace over being right.
And forgiveness is huge.
Forgiving yourself and others.
He tells this amazing story about Mary Johnson.
Who's that?
Her son was murdered, and she forgave his killer.
Wow, that's incredible. They even became friends.
That's powerful stuff.
It shows forgiveness is possible, even in the face of unimaginable pain.
It's about letting go of that burden.
Of anger, resentment.
He gives other tips, too, like being mindful of compliments,
And criticism.
not needing to one-up people.
Right. It's about connection, not competition.
Exactly. Shifting the focus from self-promotion.
To genuine understanding.
Which brings us back to relationships.
Building those authentic connections.
Remember the 4 C's of trust?
Character, competence, consistency, compassion.
He uses that framework to assess different levels of trust.
With different people.
Being intentional about who you let in.
Your inner circle.
He talks about how trust is built over time.
Through shared experiences, honesty.
Consistent actions.
It's a two-way street, right?
You have to earn it and be worthy of it.
And when it comes to romantic relationships,
Love.
Shetty has some interesting insights from,
His monk background.
a monk's perspective on love.
It's unique, but there's wisdom there.
So what's the monk's secret to a happy love life?
He says, enter relationships with self-awareness.
Knowing yourself first.
And a willingness to give and receive love.
So it's a two-way street again.
It's about finding someone who complements you.
Not completes you.
Right, someone you can grow and evolve with.
And he gives tips for nurturing those relationships.
Like being mindful of how you communicate.
Being present.
Finding shared experiences.
Keeping the spark alive.
Being intentional about it.
And he talks about being comfortable with solitude.
Not relying on your partner to fill a void.
Cultivating self-love first.
So you can enter the relationship from a place of strength.
Pouring from a full cup, not an empty one.
Exactly. Now, shifting gears again.
Okay, where are we going now?
Back to service, Savas.
Giving back.
He emphasizes that it's not just grand gestures.
Right, not just volunteering once a year.
It's about those daily acts of service.
Making it a part of your life.
He says it can be as simple as helping a neighbor.
Or listening to a friend.
Donating to a cause you care about.
Small things that make a difference.
It's about shifting your focus outward.
From self-centeredness to connection.
And he shares those inspiring stories.
The people who embody Seva.
Like Sintu Taisapkal.
The mother of orphans.
Her story is a powerful reminder that we can all make a difference.
In our own way.
And Shetty gives practical advice for incorporating Seva.
Like what?
Setting aside time for volunteering, being mindful of your consumption.
Ethical shopping.
Yeah, and finding ways to use your skills to help others.
Putting your talents to good use.
Aligning your actions with your values.
It's about making a positive impact however you can.
Contributing to a better world.
Yeah. It's about living those values, not just talking about them.
Walking the walk, right?
Exactly. And, it's not about becoming a monk, like literally.
Right, giving up everything and moving to a monastery.
Yeah, it's about taking those principles, those ideas.
And integrating them into your everyday life.
Finding what works for you.
Exactly, adapting them to your own circumstances.
And he addresses that common misconception,
Oh yeah, the whole monk stereotype.
That they're emotionless, detached from the world.
He actually says the opposite.
Really?
He emphasizes feeling your emotions fully.
Okay.
But not letting them control you.
So it's not about suppressing them.
No, it's about acknowledging them, processing them.
And then choosing how to respond.
Exactly. Being in control, not reactive.
That's a big difference.
It is. It's about mindful responses, not impulsive reactions.
And he gives tools for that, right?
He does. Mindfulness practices, meditation.
Journaling, all of that.
Yeah, finding healthy ways to process those big feelings.
Speaking of meditation.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to circle back to that sound meditation.
The chanting, the mantras.
Is that something like anyone can do?
Absolutely. Shetty believes sound is powerful.
Okay.
For connecting with yourself, quieting the mind.
So it's not just sitting in silence.
No, you can use sound as a tool.
Interesting.
He talks about chanting, mantras, even includes some in the book.
I've been trying meditation lately, and I find it,
Helpful.
Really calming, especially for anxiety.
I hear that. It can be so grounding.
I might have to try adding some sound to the mix.
You should. It can really enhance the experience.
Have you tried it?
I have. I actually started chanting a few years ago.
Oh, cool.
And I find it so grounding, the vibrations,
Yeah.
It helps to quiet my mind, bring me to the present.
It's like the sound is creating that stillness.
It really is a tangible sense of peace.
And you don't have to be like a musician, right?
No, not at all. You can just listen to calming music.
Nature sounds.
Or try chanting along with a guided meditation.
There are so many options.
There are. Experiment and see what works for you.
I like that. This whole book, it's like a toolkit for modern life.
It is a collection of wisdom made practical.
Taking those ancient ideas, making them relatable.
And actionable. He wants you to use this stuff.
I think the takeaway here is it's not about becoming a monk. literally.
Right, not about renouncing the world.
It's about taking those
The
principles
essence of that monk-like thinking
and applying them to your life.
to create a more purposeful, fulfilling existence.
Exactly. It's about self-awareness, managing your mind,
Nurturing those relationships.
and finding ways to contribute, to give back.
It's a path towards living with more intention.
More compassion, more joy.
It really is a beautiful way to approach life.
And I love how Shetty ends the book with a question.
Oh yeah, what's that?
He asks, what would your life look like if you thought like a monk?
It's a powerful question, isn't it?
It is. It really makes you stop and think.
Reflect on how you can apply these principles.
To your own life, your own circumstances.
It's an invitation to design a life that truly aligns with you,
With your values, your purpose.
your deepest aspirations.
This has been such an insightful deep dive
It has a great exploration.
into Jay Shetty's Think Like a Monk.
So much to ponder, so much to try out.
I know, I've got a lot to think about.
Me too. It's a book I'll be revisiting for sure.
If you're looking for a guide or roadmap
To navigate this crazy modern world,
with more peace, purpose, and clarity,
this book is a great place to start.
pick up a copy of Think Like a Monk.
You won't regret it.
And remember, you don't need to shave your head
Or wear robes.
to think like a monk.
It's about cultivating those inner qualities.
Awareness, compassion, purpose.
Those are the keys to a truly fulfilling life.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure exploring with you.
Until next time, keep diving deep.